How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be going over the Game Week 23 preview. So hopefully Game Week 22 was a good game week for you and you managed to get a green arrow, and hopefully those double Game Week 24 preparations are coming along nicely. Before we get into this video, a quick disclaimer: I am having to record this video before the Game Week 22 has even concluded just because of scheduling. So just keep that in mind, especially when I talk about the Man City assets, as there could be injuries now and later on in the game week. So just keep that in mind. But otherwise, we're going to be going over everything Game Week 23 related: captaincy, 1 week punts for your wildcard, and concluding with kind of a wildcard draft if you're looking at wildcarding not only in Game Week 23 but also Game Week 24. So let's get into the video. Thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring this video. Link down below if you do want to use my download link to download this wonderful app. Thanks again for sponsoring the video. If you don't know, OneFootball is the everything football related app. It's free to download on iOS or Android, and you can see there on the table. I'm following the Premier League right now. Gives me all the goals, assists, and whatever I need to know, as well as following my favorite team if I do want to follow a team, which is for me Liverpool, but for you it could be anyone else. Also, if you want to track more leagues than just the Premier League, go and check out this app. As I said, link down below. So a quick reminder about the FA Cup replays. There's not a lot of teams that are playing these replays, but Manchester United do play Wolves, and then the likes of Spurs play Middlesbrough. So if you have those kind of players in your lineups, just keep an eye on yours. The one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on is Marcus Rashford. They've played a lot of football recently, Manchester United, with that League Cup semi-final last game week. So just keep your eyes on him, Marcus Rashford especially, because he came off as a precaution on that 60-minute mark on Game Week 22. So I'm keeping him in mind as I am a current owner of him, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are. So just keep your eyes on his playing time, and if he does get injured. If you don't know, they're playing Liverpool on the weekend, so that's quite a tough clash. So maybe he'll be rested for this FA Cup replay, but that's yet to be seen. But just keep your eyes on these ones, and then this was just a little bit of a reminder. So my watch list has changed a little bit since the conclusion of Game Week 21. So my Game Week 23 watch list is Mohamed Salah. If you don't know, I'm looking at tripling up on the Liverpool with that double Liverpool midfield of Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane. So last game week I managed to bring Sadio Mane in my lineup. I won't be bringing Mohamed Salah in right now, as that would require a hit, and I'm not too keen on taking a hit before that Manchester United game, but Mohamed Salah will be firmly on my watch list as I look to kind of differentiate between that double defense and double midfield. The nice thing about kind of leaving the transfer as late as possible for double Game Week 24 is you can kind of analyze whether you want Mohamed Salah or maybe someone like Robertson to complement Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'll be looking at Mo Salah though quite intensely, as the Liverpool defense has been performing quite well, so Mohamed Salah is going to have to do something against United to put him firmly on my radar. Comes in quite expensive, so that's one of the advantages of going with a double defense, but I do think that he could be worth it, and he is quite a nice differential. And then Luka Dean is the next player on the watch list. He's replaced Sidibe, main reason being Sidibe returned to that fullback position, not playing out of position exactly anymore. So that's why Luka Dean looks like the better attacking option going forward. He's a little bit more expensive, so if you can't afford him, Sidibe provides a nice alternative. But I am still worried a little bit about that Sidibe-Coleman rotation that could still happen, especially if he does return to that fullback position. So Luka Dean managed to get an assist and a clean sheet on the weekend for Everton, and Everton have some nice fixtures coming up. It's kind of a little bit of a punt to go for, as their next kind of 5 fixtures are nice, and then they go into a sea of red, which I don't really think is going to be getting too many clean sheets. So if you're looking for a defender that you kind of want to go for a little bit of a mid-range price, they're 5.7 million, more on the expensive side, but he does still have 4 assists, having played basically every minute this season. Then we have Heung-min Son, who returned against Liverpool. Not returned in terms of FPL points, but returned from his suspension. So I'm intrigued by him, as I always like Heung-min Son in FPL. Comes along just under that 10 million mark. Unfortunately, I've had a really bad experience with my Spurs options, and it wouldn't be a Dayvy FPL watch list if I didn't really have a crazy option in this. So I don't really think many people are going to be looking at Spurs, but they have some nice fixtures coming up, so you might want to take a little bit of a punt on him. But I'll talk about Son a little bit later on. So this is what I was talking about when we spoke about Son, but I said in the introduction we'll be doing a wildcard draft, so a lot of people are looking to use their wildcard not only this game week, but maybe even next game week in preparation for the double game week. So if you are willing to do that and you're going to be using your wildcard in game week 24 or before game week 24, these are my 3 1-week punts to go for. So the first one and the most out there punt is going to be the Norwich striker. He played on the weekend instead of Pukki. Basically, every Norwich striker is injured besides this young man. So they have Bournemouth at home, which is quite a nice fixture. You're just going to have to keep your eyes on the press conferences for this one because Pukki is scheduled to come back quite soon. So if he is back for this one, this kind of negates my 1-week punt on this Norwich striker. But if you can afford him, comes in very cheap, maybe worth the punt as Bournemouth are absolutely atrocious. I'm recording this, as I said, before the Bournemouth game, so maybe they have had a resilient defense yet again, but I'm pretty sure that Norwich will be scoring in this one. And then you got to favor this Norwich striker to put one past Bournemouth. So if Pukki is back, you can maybe go and take a punt on Pukki, but otherwise I would stick to maybe some more conservative, more ideal options like these other two. So the first one is Riyad Mahrez. I know a lot of people brought him in for Game Week 22 to take a little bit of a punt on him. So if he does start in that one, maybe more of a punt and more of a starter, but if he does not start, that kind of tells me that he's willing to start against Crystal Palace. So Riyad Mahrez, Crystal Palace is quite a tough game to go by, and Man City have been doing quite well at home especially, so I do expect them to do quite well. And Riyad Mahrez could be a nice little 1-week punt there. Ownership quite low, and he is playing for quite a good team. So, and he also provides quite a nice price in that midfield, so you could go for him. The other one I spoke about, Heung-min Son, they have Watford away. Watford recently have been better, but I am expecting Spurs maybe to get on the bounce again after a couple of bad results there. The Liverpool game was quite tough, so you can't really give them that one, but the previous games have been absolutely shocking. So you could go for Son with Kane out, should be playing up front, and could be a nice FPL option. So Danny Ings is the player I want to talk about and kind of do a summary for this game week. So with Danny Ings, he yet again scored on the weekend. He is on great form, having scored 14 goals and 1 assist, and he's basically played every minute. He had reduced minutes due to an injury, but he looks quite fit right now, and I'm touching wood that he is back for the rest of the season. I know he has been quite injury prone, but recently he's shown that he can play a lot of minutes in a short space of time and still do quite well. So if you look at those fixture lists, has great fixtures coming up. Liverpool is probably the only one that's a little bit of a hindrance, but he could still score against his former club. I mean, if he's scoring against the likes of Leicester, he can definitely score against the likes of Liverpool. So he's on my firm radar, and I kind of want to say he's essential right now. If you don't have Danny Ings, he would probably be the transfer I would be looking at doing. I think he just falls behind the Liverpool options because they have that double game week, but I think that Danny Ings has to be on your radar for the next couple game weeks, and he is quite cheap, so you can easily downgrade one of your forwards to afford him, and I do think, as I said, he is essential. So I will probably be looking at bringing Danny Ings in. If you saw my deadline with Dayvy stream, I kind of have a nice little double Game Week 24 plan, which sees the likes of Mohamed Salah coming in before Game Week 24, but my transfer this game week is probably going to be Danny Ings, so I do think you should be looking at him. So the final thing before the captaincy that we're going to be going over is a wildcard draft. So I think that this wildcard draft is relevant not only for Game Week 23, but Game Week 24. You could even use it a little bit after that, but then I think it becomes a little bit less redundant. The longer you manage to prolong your wildcard, the kind of more changes you can make to it, as you can see which players are coming in quite nicely. Starting up in goal, I have Matt Ryan in here, kind of the safe option to go for. Got really good fixtures. Brighton hopefully will get some more defensive form going their way, and I do think he comes quite nicely at that under 5 million mark, so he would be the player I'd be looking at. The next one is quite another nice one to go for, is Martin from West Ham. So Fabianski went off injured in the 15th minute, and if you know, West Ham have a nice double game week coming up. Not a nice double game week in terms of fixtures as it is against Liverpool and Leicester, but he is a double game week goalkeeper, and hopefully he gets some save points and then he can equal some more points. But I've just included him here. Comes in at 4.1 million, quite cheap, and if he is playing a double game week, definitely worth that price. Going into the defense, we have some cheap options here. The likes of Holgate, Kelly, Lundstrom. I know Lundstrom's more expensive now because I bought him at 4 million. He's around that 5 million mark, but I think if you have Lundstrom, just keep him. But then with Holgate, has some nice fixtures, as I said, with Everton coming up. is in that starting lineup, has been playing quite well, so I would be looking at him. Kelly, another option that's quite cheap, but I think Kelly's going to be spending most game weeks on the bench, as I do think there are other players coming back from injury, and Crystal Palace might even make a defensive signing in January, so just keep your eyes on that one. But then Soyuncu, Leicester are a great side this FPL season, and I do think that the Southampton game was a little bit of a blip, and more of Southampton just playing really well. So Soyuncu comes into the lineup alongside Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent Alexander-Arnold, you can go for him or Robertson, but I definitely think that you should be looking at one of the Liverpool defenders, especially one of the fullbacks, as they just get forward so much. So Alexander-Arnold's my personal favorite, but if you can't afford him, Robertson's always an option. The midfield, Jack Grealish looks essential to Aston Villa. I have him in here as more of my budget premium option at 6.3 million, so he's definitely going to be staying as of how, as I said, essential he is to Aston Villa, and he is that main target man for them. So I'll be looking at him. Then Mane and Salah for that double game week 24. I've opted for the double in midfield, as I think it has a lot of a higher ceiling than the double defense, and it's just more of an exciting option to go for. The only hindrance for this double midfield is whether to captain Mane or Salah. So that's a decision that you're going to have to kind of make, but it's kind of a nice one to have, as both are great options. Kevin De Bruyne complements them at 10 million. I kind of have a lot of money invested in him, so I wouldn't be looking at transferring him out. And he's kind of the Man City option I would look at. Hopefully he stops playing so deep. I don't think it's that much of a problem as against low sitting sides that park the bus. Kevin De Bruyne is still going to get quite forward, so he comes in. And then Hayden, just a little bit of a bench fodder at 4.3 million. The attack is quite exciting with this one. We have Vardy. Can't drop Vardy. He has great fixtures coming up. And I know he's not in the best form, but he has been injured and had the birth of his child recently. So hopefully he can rebound from that and maybe even get that birth celebration for his child. Then we have Danny Ings. I spoke about how essential he is, and I do think he's the player you should be bringing in. And then Calvert-Lewin, just a little bit of a cheap forward, is playing right now and should be quite good. Tosin has gone to Crystal Palace on loan, so that kind of nullifies the threat of rotation there for Calvert-Lewin. But this is kind of how I would line up. Comment down below your wildcard draft, and it's probably going to be better than mine. The last point we're going to be talking about is captaincy. So I have 3 captaincy options here, but there are some other options you can go for. The likes of Spurs are playing Watford, so you can look at maybe Heung-min Son or Dele Alli, but that's really an out there pick. Quite a nice differential if you want to go for it. But these 3 are probably going to be the safety and the standard picks going into Game Week 23. So we have Sadio Mane against Manchester United. I think if this was an away fixture, I wouldn't be looking at the Liverpool assets, but because it is at home, Liverpool are a different side at home, and I do think that they should be beating Manchester United. So Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah provide nice alternatives to the usual Man City and Leicester options, and you could look at them. Kevin De Bruyne against Crystal Palace. You could also opt for maybe Sergio Aguero. That's more of a risky option, as we never know with the rotation there. So Kevin De Bruyne may be more of a safe option. You could also go for the likes of Sterling, also a little bit of a more safe option there. But Crystal Palace at home, I am expecting City to beat them. Is a home fixture, which is a quite nice one. And Crystal Palace have usually been leaking goals. I've owned Guaita for the past couple game weeks, and they always concede 1. So maybe this game will end 1-0 to Man City, but that's yet to be seen. Then we have Jamie Vardy, who's probably my captain for this game week and probably my favorite captaincy option against Burnley away. Now, Burnley haven't been their stereotypically strong defense recently. Lost 3-0 against Chelsea in game week 22, so I'm expecting kind of the same victory for Leicester. And if they're going to be scoring 3 goals, you've got to be backing Jamie Vardy to getting on the end of one of those. So Jamie Vardy probably going to be my captaincy option and probably my favorite captaincy option. And I know that last game week he didn't do that well, only got an assist, but hopefully this game week he can do a lot better. So that's going to kind of wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy. Please like it if you did. And subscribe if you're new or have not subscribed yet. Stay tuned for the team selection coming up later on in the game week. But otherwise, I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.